Tonight, we'll journey through the fascinating history of Mario, one of gaming's most iconic characters. From his humble beginnings as a pixelated figure in early arcade games to his rise as Nintendo's beloved mascot, Mario's story is one of creativity, innovation, and timeless charm. So settle in, get comfortable, and let your mind wander as we take a calm, detailed look at how Mario came to be. With each chapter, we'll gently follow his origins, his early appearances, and the way he grew into a worldwide phenomenon. As you listen, let the steady rhythm of this story carry you deeper into relaxation until the comforting world of Nintendo's most famous hero becomes a peaceful backdrop for sleep. Mario's story begins in the early 1980s, a time when Nintendo was just starting to establish itself in the gaming industry. Before Mario became the character we know today, Nintendo was focused on arcade machines and simple games. In 1981, a young designer named Shigeru Miyamoto, still relatively new at Nintendo, was tasked with creating a new arcade game that could compete in the growing market. This project would become Donkey Kong, and it would be here that Mario made his very first appearance yet as the iconic plumber we know, but simply as a character known as Jumpman. In Donkey Kong, the goal was simple: guide Jumpman up a series of platforms to rescue a woman named Pauline from a large ape named Donkey Kong. The character was given no real backstory, no official name beyond his descriptive title, and his appearance was shaped largely by the limitations of arcade technology at the time. The small number of pixels available meant that designing detailed characters was impossible. To compensate, Miyamoto gave Jumpman a large mustache so his nose would be visible without needing to animate a mouth. He also wore a hat to avoid animating hair, and overalls to make his arms and hands stand out while he moved. These design choices, born entirely from necessity, would become defining features of Mario's look for decades to come. Interestingly, Mario wasn't originally conceived as a plumber. In Donkey Kong, his occupation was assumed to be a carpenter because of the construction site setting. It wasn't until later, in 1983, that he officially became a plumber in Mario Bros., a decision influenced by the new game's underground, pipe-filled environments. This shift not only cemented his blue-collar aesthetic, but also gave Mario a clear and relatable identity that players could easily understand. He was an everyday worker, not a superhero or soldier, but someone ordinary, thrown into extraordinary adventures. Even Mario's name has a curious origin. During the development of Donkey Kong, Nintendo of America was renting a warehouse space, and their landlord was a man named Mario Segale. After a heated discussion over overdue rent, the staff jokingly decided to name Jumpman after him. The name stuck, and thus, Mario was born. Though Segale reportedly had little involvement beyond inspiring the name, this small, spontaneous decision forever changed gaming history. Mario's initial appearance in Donkey Kong was groundbreaking. The game's success was monumental, becoming one of Nintendo's first major hits in North America and helping to establish the company outside of Japan. Players grew attached to Jumpman not because of a complex backstory or detailed personality, but because of his simplicity. He was easy to recognize, easy to control, and instantly iconic. His bright red shirt and blue overalls contrasted perfectly against the arcade's black background, making him stand out visually. And while he was just a small, pixelated figure climbing ladders and leaping over barrels, he carried with him a sense of personality that was rare for games of that era. The world of Donkey Kong set the stage for Mario's growth, but it was clear even then that this character had the potential to be more than a single-game protagonist. In fact, Miyamoto's design philosophy centered on creating characters who could adapt to different roles and settings, Much like how Mickey Mouse could appear in countless cartoons, each with its own unique scenario. Mario was intended to be versatile, a character who could star in many different adventures without being tied down to a single story or universe. This flexibility would later become one of Mario's greatest strengths. Following Donkey Kong, Mario appeared in Donkey Kong Jr., where he surprisingly took on the role of the antagonist, trying to capture Donkey Kong while his son worked to free him. This shift showed that even early on, Mario was less about rigid storytelling and more about gameplay-driven roles. Still, his design and presence remained consistent, reinforcing his image even when his role shifted. It was clear that Nintendo saw something special in Mario, and they were preparing to give him his own dedicated spotlight. This led directly to the creation of Mario Bros. In 1983, the first game to bear his name and fully establish the plumbing theme. Set in sewers filled with pipes, turtles, and crabs, Mario Bros. Introduced not only Mario's plumbing occupation, but also his younger brother Luigi, who debuted as a green palette swap of Mario for the game's two-player mode. This introduction of Luigi helped expand Mario's world, transforming him from a solitary figure into part of a duo. The dynamic of Mario and Luigi, two ordinary brothers tackling strange and dangerous creatures underground, added charm and relatability. Their simple, working-class image contrasted sharply with the fantastical worlds they explored, a contrast that would define much of Mario's appeal. As Nintendo moved forward from the massive success of Donkey Kong, they sought to give Mario his own dedicated Gamea title that would firmly establish his identity and set the stage for future adventures. This led to the release of Mario Bros. In 1983, a game that reimagined Mario's world and defined him not only by name, but also by occupation, personality, and relationships. For the first time, Mario was officially a plumber, a choice inspired by the new setting of the game, underground sewers filled with interconnected pipes. The decision to shift his profession from carpenter to plumber fit naturally with the environments Nintendo wanted to explore, and it instantly grounded Mario as an everyman hero. Mario Bros. Was an arcade game with a simple premise. Mario and his newly introduced brother Luigi worked together to clear waves of enemies emerging from pipes in an underground stage. The game emphasized cooperation, but could also be played competitively, where players would sabotage each other's efforts while still dealing with enemies like turtles, crabs, and later introduced creatures such as fighter flies. Its single-screen design was different from Donkey Kong's climbing-focused gameplay, trading vertical platforming for a more confined and tense arena where timing and teamwork were crucial. Luigi's introduction in Mario Bros. Cannot be overstated. Initially designed simply as a second player's version of Mario, Luigi was created by recoloring Mario's sprite green due to hardware limitations. Yet, even in this early form, Luigi laid the groundwork for one of gaming's most famous sibling duos. Over time, Luigi's personality would grow into his own distinct character, but in Mario Bros., he served as both a functional and thematic expansion of Mario's world. The presence of two brothers battling strange creatures in the sewers added humor and charm, grounding these surreal scenarios in a relatable family dynamic. The enemies of Mario Bros. Also contributed significantly to Mario's evolving identity. Creatures like shell creepers, which would later inspire Koopa Troopas in future games, emerged from pipes, reinforcing the plumbing motif and cementing the idea that Mario's everyday job intersected with bizarre, fantastical challenges. The gameplay mechanic of flipping enemies from below and then kicking them off the screen further highlighted the idea of Mario and Luigi using their environment and tools to tackle problems, almost like ordinary workers thrown into extraordinary circumstances. Mario Brothers also introduced several mechanics that would become staples in the series. The ability to hit blocks from below, for example, was refined here, creating a satisfying sense of impact that tied directly to Mario's identity as a character who navigates and interacts physically with his environment. The iconic POW block also debuted, allowing players to knock down all enemies on screen, adding another layer of strategy while embedding a playful sense of cartoonish power into Mario's world. From a design perspective, Mario Brothers refined the character's visual identity. The constraints of arcade graphics still dictated his look. The mustache remained to give definition to his face, his cap covered any lack of hair animation, and his bright colored and blue ensured he stood out against the dark underground backgrounds. These traits, born from technical limitations, gradually became deliberate design choices. Over time, Mario's recognizable silhouette and vibrant palette transformed him into one of the most easily identified characters in gaming, even when viewed from afar. Culturally, Mario Brothers also marked the beginning of Mario's transition from arcade hit to broader pop culture recognition. The game's success continued Nintendo's rise during the early 1980s, and Mario's name began to resonate beyond the arcade scene. This was also when Nintendo of America began pushing Mario as a recognizable mascot, realizing his potential to be a face for the brand as they prepared to enter the home console market in a bigger way. Mario Brothers was also significant because it introduced cooperative gameplay into the mix. While many arcade games of the era were competitive by nature pitting players against each other for high scores, Mario Brothers encouraged teamwork. This focus on cooperative play resonated strongly with players, especially siblings and friends who crowded around arcade cabinets. The shared experience of tackling wave after wave of sewer-dwelling enemies helped cement Mario as a character associated with social gaming, a reputation that persists to this day. It's worth noting that Mario Brothers also appeared during a volatile period in gaming history. The video game industry was approaching the infamous crash of 1983, caused largely by an oversaturated market of low-quality home console games. While arcades still thrived, home systems in North America were struggling under the weight of poor consumer confidence. Amid this turmoil, Nintendo quietly prepared to launch what would become their defining product, the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES. Mario Brothers served as a bridge, both in gameplay and branding, between Nintendo's arcade roots and their leap into home gaming, setting the stage for Mario's true breakout moment. The popularity of Mario Bros. Ensured that Mario became more than just another arcade character. His cheerful design, simple yet effective gameplay, and approachable concept created a strong foundation. This game solidified core aspects of his identity: his name, his job, his brother, and even his connection to pipe-based environments, all of which would evolve further when Nintendo unleashed Mario's most ambitious adventure yet, a game that would not only define him, but redefine gaming itself. That game was Super Mario Bros., and it would take Mario from a successful arcade figure into the heart of living rooms around the world. It was here, in 1985, that Mario made his ultimate leap from a charming character to the undisputed face of video games, introducing players to the Mushroom Kingdom, Princess Peach, Bowser, and a world that would shape Nintendo's legacy forever. When Super Mario Bros. Launched in 1985 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, it didn't just elevate Mario's popularity, it transformed the entire gaming landscape. This was the game that introduced side-scrolling platformers to a massive audience, establishing many of the conventions that define video games to this day. For countless players, this was their first glimpse of a sprawling, colorful world that extended far beyond the single screen limitations of arcade cabinets. The premise was simple yet charming. Mario, now a plumber by trade, journeys through the Mushroom Kingdom to rescue Princess Toadstool, later renamed Princess Peach, from the villainous Bowser, King of the Koopas. This classic Save the Princess plot provided enough narrative to motivate players while keeping the focus squarely on gameplay. Yet, even with its simplicity, the story resonated. Mario's quest wasn't about glory or power, but about courage and determination, qualities that made him instantly relatable. Super Mario Bros. Introduced an expansive world filled with iconic elements. The rolling green hills, floating platforms, and blue skies gave players a sense of adventure unlike anything they had experienced in arcades. It wasn't just a game, it felt like entering a living, breathing world. The Mushroom Kingdom was whimsical and strange, populated by Goombas, Koopa Troopas, and piranha plants, each contributing to its sense of playful danger. For many, this was their first taste of a fully realized video game universe, one that encouraged exploration and mastery. The game's design was revolutionary in its pacing and structure. Level 1-1 of Super Mario Bros. Remains one of the most famous game design tutorials ever created, teaching players everything they needed to know without words or instructions. The first Goomba demonstrated how enemies worked. The first block revealed power-ups like the Super Mushroom, and the progression of obstacles gradually trained players in jumping and movement. It was intuitive and approachable, ensuring that anyone could pick up a controller and learn through play. Mechanically, Super Mario Bros. Also introduced concepts that became synonymous with the character. The Super Mushroom transformed Mario from his small form into Super Mario, visually emphasizing his growth and strength. The Fire Flower allowed him to throw fireballs, giving players a taste of power-up-driven combat. These mechanics, combined with tight controls and satisfying physics, created gameplay that felt both challenging and rewarding. Luigi returned as the second playable character in two-player mode, cementing the brotherly dynamic that would define the series. While Luigi remained mechanically identical to Mario in this game, his presence reinforced Mario's identity as part of a duo, and his distinct green outfit added variety to the otherwise red and blue hero. Together, the Mario Brothers became household names, recognizable not just by their appearances, but by their roles as approachable, determined heroes in a world full of wonder and danger. Super Mario Bros. Also redefined music in gaming. Composer Koji Kondo's soundtrack, particularly the upbeat overworld theme, became one of the most iconic pieces of video game music ever composed. Its cheerful melody perfectly matched the lighthearted visuals, while tracks like the Underground theme or Bowser's Castle theme added variety and atmosphere. The music of Super Mario Bros. Embedded itself into pop culture, inseparable from Mario's identity and still instantly recognizable decades later. Commercially, Super Mario Bros. Was a phenomenon. Bundled with the NES in many regions, it became the entry point for millions into home gaming. Its success helped pull the industry out of the early 1980s crash, revitalizing consumer confidence and proving that video games were more than a passing fad. Mario, once a simple arcade figure, was now a household name, his face synonymous with gaming itself. The cultural impact of Super Mario Bros. Extended beyond gaming. Mario appeared on lunchboxes, clothing, cartoons, and even in feature-length movies. His cheerful, approachable design and simple premise made him appealing to audiences of all ages, turning him into a mascot not only for Nintendo, but for video games as a whole. It's difficult to overstate how monumental this leap was. Mario wasn't just another character. He was becoming an icon whose influence spanned generations. Even decades later, Super Mario Bros. Is often cited as one of the most important games ever made, and for good reason. It was the foundation upon which all future Mario games would be built, establishing the Mushroom Kingdom, Bowser's rivalry with Mario, and the hero's ability to adapt to fantastical settings. The success of this game paved the way for sequels and spin offs that would experiment with gameplay and push technology forward while keeping Mario at the center. As Nintendo looked ahead, they realized Mario's potential extended far beyond a single adventure. The question wasn't whether Mario would return it, was where he would go next and how his adventures would evolve in the years to come. From the pixelated worlds of the NES to the leaps into 3D decades later, Mario's journey was just beginning, and each step would further cement him as one of the most enduring figures in entertainment history. After the monumental success of Super Mario Bros., Nintendo knew they had struck gold, and fans eagerly awaited Mario's next adventure. What followed was a fascinating chapter in Mario's evolution. Super Mario Bros. 2, a game that deviated sharply from its predecessor, and Super Mario Bros. 3, often hailed as one of the greatest video games of all time. Together, these sequels showed Nintendo's willingness to experiment while also solidifying Mario as a character who could adapt to wildly different settings and gameplay styles without losing his identity. In Japan, Nintendo initially released Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels in 1986, which served as their version of Super Mario Bros. 2. It was essentially a direct continuation of the first game, with harder levels, trickier jumps, and even more punishing enemy placement. It was designed for players who had mastered the original game and wanted a true test of skill. However, Nintendo of America deemed it too difficult and too similar to the original to appeal to Western audiences, fearing it would frustrate players and harm the NES's growing popularity. To address this, Nintendo made a bold decision. They reworked a completely different game, Yume Kojo, Doki Doki Panic, into what Western audiences would know as Super Mario Bros. 2. Released in 1988 in North America, it replaced the original characters from Doki Doki Panic with Mario, Luigi, Princess Toadstool, later renamed Peach, and Toad. The result was a Mario game, unlike any before it. Instead of stomping on enemies, players picked up and threw objects. Stages featured vertical climbing and exploration, and familiar foes like Goombas and Koopa Troopas were nowhere to be seen. This radical shift introduced entirely new mechanics and enemies, including characters who would become staples of the franchise, such as Shy Guys, Bob-ombs, and Birdo. It also gave Luigi his trademark higher jump and floatier physics, while Peach could hover briefly in mid-air, a unique ability that became central to her character in later games. Even though it wasn't originally conceived as a Mario title, Super Mario Bros. 2 broadened the scope of Mario's world and showed that he wasn't limited to one formula. Despite its unusual origins, the game was a hit, and it demonstrated Mario's versatility. Fans embraced its quirky mechanics, and its dreamlike aesthetic even tied neatly into Mario's world. It was later revealed that the events of Super Mario Bros. 2 were, fittingly, all a dream. The game also gave Peach and Toad their first playable roles, subtly expanding the Mushroom Kingdom's cast and making it feel more alive. But Nintendo wasn't done. In 1988, they released Super Mario Bros. 3 in Japan, and it launched internationally in 1990, marking one of the biggest moments in gaming history. This was the game that took everything people loved about Mario and amplified it to unprecedented heights. Super Mario Bros. 3 introduced a world map, giving players a sense of progression across multiple themed regions, from grassy plains to deserts, icy landscapes, and even a sky world. This map added choice, allowing players to tackle levels in different orders and uncover secret paths and shortcuts. It made the world feel interconnected and gave Mario's adventure a greater sense of scale. The game also revolutionized Mario's abilities. Power-ups went beyond the classic Super Mushroom and Fire Flower, introducing items like the Super Leaf, which granted Mario raccoon ears and a tail, allowing him to fly for brief periods. This ability added verticality and freedom to level design, encouraging exploration. Other memorable items included the frog suit for swimming, the Tanuki suit with its ability to transform Mario into a statue, and the hammer suit for throwing hammers like the enemies he once faced. Each level in Super Mario Bros. 3 felt fresh and inventive. Some stages featured giant-sized enemies in Giant Land, while others had auto-scrolling platforms or airships guarded by the Koopalings, Bowser's newly introduced children. These boss battles provided variety and challenge, culminating in Bowser himself, who appeared larger and more intimidating than ever before. Visually, the game pushed the NES hardware to its limits. Its colorful, detailed sprites and whimsical environments gave players a taste of what Mario's world could truly look like, filled with personality and charm. Koji Kondo returned with a memorable soundtrack that included jaunty overworld tunes and intense airship music that added tension and excitement. Commercially, Super Mario Bros. 3 was a juggernaut, selling over 17 million copies worldwide and becoming one of the best-selling games of all time. Its release was even promoted through the movie The Wizard in 1989, where its appearance served as the climactic reveal, generating enormous hype. The game's success cemented Mario not only as Nintendo's mascot, but as the face of gaming culture worldwide. Narratively, Super Mario Bros. 3 also deepened the Mushroom Kingdom's lore, expanding the number of characters, enemies, and locations associated with Mario's world. It showcased that Mario's universe could grow beyond a single princess, a single villain, and a few scattered levels. This expansion laid the foundation for Mario's transition into more varied spin-offs and genres while keeping the core charm intact. By the time Super Mario Bros. 3 concluded, Mario had evolved from an arcade hero into a global icon. Nintendo had proven that Mario could headline massive, ambitious games, and each entry not only pushed technical boundaries, but also captured imaginations. His red cap, mustache, and blue overalls were now instantly recognizable worldwide. Mario had become more than a character. He was a symbol of Nintendo's creativity and the playful, imaginative spirit of gaming itself. This set the stage for Mario's leap into a new era, the transition from 8-bit to 16-bit, and the dawn of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. With it came one of Mario's most beloved adventures, Super Mario World, a game that would not only refine everything established in his earlier titles, but introduce new ideas that would influence his journey for decades. In 1990, Nintendo released the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES, in Japan, and with it came Super Mario World, Mario's first 16-bit adventure and one of the most iconic games of its era. This was more than just a new Mario game. It was a showcase of what Nintendo's new hardware could do, pushing graphical fidelity, sound, and gameplay to new heights. For many, Super Mario World was their introduction to gaming's next generation, and it redefined what a platformer could be. The story followed Mario and Luigi as they traveled to Dinosaur Land for a vacation with Princess Peach. Unsurprisingly, Bowser kidnapped her, prompting the brothers to embark on a rescue mission across vast new territories. What made Super Mario World stand out immediately was its expansive overworld map, far larger and more intricate than Super Mario Bros. 3. It introduced branching paths, hidden exits, and secret levels that rewarded exploration like never before. Perhaps the most memorable addition was Yoshi, Mario's dinosaur companion, who instantly became a fan favorite. Yoshi could eat enemies, gain abilities based on the color of the Koopa shells he swallowed, and even allow Mario to reach otherwise inaccessible areas. His cheerful design and playful mechanics added depth and variety, creating a sense of camaraderie that enriched Mario's journey. Riding Yoshi for the first time became one of the most joyful moments in gaming history. The gameplay was tighter and more fluid than ever. Mario's moveset expanded with new mechanics like the spin jump, which allowed him to break certain blocks and provided more control in the air. The introduction of the Cape Feather gave Mario a new flying ability that required mastering momentum and timing, adding a layer of skill-based depth for veteran players. Graphically, Super Mario World was vibrant and colorful, showcasing lush forests, sparkling waters, and mysterious caves. The SNES's hardware allowed for smoother animations and more expressive characters, making Mario's world feel more alive. Koji Kondo returned with a dynamic soundtrack that used variations of a central melody across different levels, from upbeat overworld themes to the haunting echoes of ghost houses. This cohesion tied the entire game together musically, giving Dinosaur Land a distinctive identity. The game also leaned heavily into secrets, encouraging players to experiment and explore. Hidden exits often revealed entirely new routes on the map, leading to challenging bonus stages or alternate paths through the game. The enigmatic Star Road and its even more cryptic special world offered some of the toughest platforming in the series, rewarding mastery with cosmetic changes to the overworld that felt like playful Easter eggs for dedicated players. Super Mario World sold over 20 million copies worldwide, becoming the best-selling game on the SNES and further solidifying Mario's dominance in gaming. Its influence was profound. It inspired countless imitators, reinforced Nintendo's design philosophy of accessibility blended with depth, and introduced characters and mechanics like Yoshi that would become integral to Mario's future. The success of Super Mario World also ushered in an era where Mario branched out into spin-offs and experimental genres. Nintendo recognized Mario's flexibility and began placing him in new scenarios beyond traditional platformers. From kart racing to sports to puzzle games, Mario was poised to become more than just a hero who jumped on Goombashe, was evolving into a brand that could encompass an entire universe of gameplay styles. Yet, even as Mario diversified, his core platforming roots continued to flourish. The SNES era would later see Super Mario All-Stars, a collection that remade his NES adventures with updated graphics and sound, preserving his early history for a new generation. This release reinforced how central Mario had become to gaming history. His earliest games were now treated like treasured classics worthy of preservation and celebration. With the 16-bit era cementing Mario as both a critical and commercial juggernaut, the stage was set for his next great leap that would not only redefine Mario, but video games as a whole. The move into full 3D with Super Mario 64. In 1996, Nintendo once again redefined gaming with the release of the Nintendo 64, and with it came one of the most revolutionary titles in video game history, Super Mario 64. This was not just a new Mario game, it was a paradigm shift that brought players into a fully 3D world for the first time. Mario's leap from the side-scrolling platforming of his 2D roots into expansive, freely explorable environments marked a defining moment in gaming history and permanently reshaped what players expected from video games. From the moment players powered on Super Mario 64 and saw Mario's interactive 3D face on the title screen, it was clear they were stepping into something completely new. Gone were the fixed side view perspectives. Instead, Mario moved fluidly in every direction, controlled with an unprecedented sense of precision using the Nintendo 64's innovative analog stick. Players were suddenly free to explore open areas at their own pace, a liberating shift from the linear courses of earlier titles. The story of Super Mario 64 was simple but effective. Princess Peach invites Mario to her castle for cake, but Bowser kidnaps her once again, trapping her and the castle's inhabitants within paintings spread throughout the castle's many rooms. Mario had to dive into these magical paintings, each acting as a gateway to different worlds, collect power stars, and confront Bowser to save Peach. The castle itself served as a hub world, an interconnected playground where exploration and experimentation were encouraged. Each painting world was distinct and memorable. From the grassy slopes of Bob-omb Battlefield to the shifting sands of Shifting Sandland and the icy chill of Cool Cool Mountain, every level was brimming with personality and secrets. Unlike previous Mario games, players weren't required to complete levels in a set order. Instead, they could explore freely, choosing which stars to pursue, and often discovering alternate routes or hidden paths along the way. This non-linear structure felt revolutionary, offering both casual accessibility and rewarding depth for completionists. Mario's moveset was also vastly expanded. He could run, crouch, crawl, swim, and even perform triple jumps, backflips, and wall kicks. The controls felt fluid and responsive, giving players an unprecedented sense of freedom in how they approached platforming challenges. His iconic abilities, like the wing cap for flying, metal cap for invincibility, and vanish cap for ghost-like intangibility, added layers of strategy and exploration, transforming Mario from a simple jumper into a fully versatile adventurer. The game's boss battles, particularly the showdowns with Bowser, showcased the potential of 3D gameplay. Grabbing Bowser by the tail and spinning him around to throw him into explosive mines was a satisfying mechanic that highlighted the tactile nature of the analog controls. It became one of the most iconic interactions in gaming and remains fondly remembered to this day. Graphically, Super Mario 64 was stunning for its time. The colorful, polygonal worlds felt vast and alive, while Mario himself was expressive and full of personality. His joyful animations, from waving when idle to punching the air in celebration, helped cement him as more than just a static avatar. Combined with Charles Martinet's debut as Mario's voice, delivering lines like the iconic, "It's a me, Mario," and "Let's a go," Mario finally felt like a fully realized character. Koji Kondo's music once again played a crucial role, with tracks like the peaceful melody of Dire Docks, or the upbeat tunes of Bob-omb Battlefield becoming instant classics. The music dynamically shifted in intensity during certain levels, such as when diving underwater or approaching dangerous areas, enhancing immersion in this expansive 3D world. The impact of Super Mario 64 on gaming was monumental. It wasn't just a hit. It became the gold standard for 3D platformers, influencing countless other titles and even entire genres. Its intuitive controls, open-ended structure, and playful sense of discovery made it approachable for newcomers, while offering endless secrets for seasoned players. With over 11 million copies sold, it also helped establish the Nintendo 64 as a must-have console and reaffirmed Mario's status as gaming's premier icon. For many players, Super Mario 64 wasn't just a game-mate, was an experience that showcased the limitless possibilities of this new era. Jumping into paintings to explore strange worlds felt magical, and the sense of freedom it offered was unmatched. It showed that Mario was more than capable of evolving with technology, seamlessly transitioning into 3D while retaining the heart of his 2D adventures. Following Super Mario 64, Mario became firmly entrenched in the cultural mainstream. His voice, his 3D look, and the freedom of movement he embodied became synonymous with fun and creativity. Nintendo had successfully reinvented their flagship character for a new generation, ensuring that Mario remained relevant as gaming itself transformed. This success opened the door for Nintendo to explore even more creative directions. In the years that followed, Mario would not only star in new 3D adventures, but also appear in an increasing number of spin offs that showcased his versatility. From kart racing to golf, tennis, and even party games, Mario was no longer confined to platforming alone. His identity as a flexible, all purpose mascot capable of fitting into nearly any setting became a hallmark of Nintendo's approach to their most famous hero. Yet, while Mario's foray into spin offs expanded his reach, fans eagerly awaited his next mainline adventure. How would Nintendo follow up the groundbreaking Super Mario 64? That answer would come years later with Super Mario Sunshine, a game that blended familiar platforming with bold new mechanics and a sun-soaked tropical setting, once again reinventing what a Mario game could be. In 2002, Nintendo introduced the world to Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube, a title that brought Mario to the vibrant and exotic Isle Delfino. After the expansive freedom of Super Mario 64, fans were eager to see how Mario's next adventure would evolve. Sunshine delivered a fresh experience that combined classic platforming with new mechanics, striking visuals, and a playful summer theme that set it apart from every Mario game before it. The story began with Mario, Princess Peach, and Toadsworth traveling to Isle Delfino for a relaxing vacation. But things quickly went awry when a mysterious figure shadowed Mario defaced the island with graffiti, polluting its pristine waters and framing Mario for the crime. Wrongfully accused, Mario was forced to clean up the island using a new device, the FLUDD, Flash Liquidizer Ultra Dousing Device, a water-spraying backpack created by Professor E. Gadd. This marked the first major addition to Mario's core moveset in years, fundamentally changing how players approached platforming. FLUDD allowed Mario to hover briefly in midair, spray water to clean up graffiti or damage enemies, and use powerful bursts of water to launch himself higher. This added precision and fluidity to Mario's movements while introducing new puzzle-solving elements. Players could swap between different nozzles, like the rocket nozzle for high vertical boosts or the turbo nozzle for blazing fast speed across water. The game's tropical setting was a stark departure from the Mushroom Kingdom's usual landscapes. Isle Delfino was alive with bustling marketplaces, sandy beaches, palm trees, and lively piantas, the island's native inhabitants. The hub world, Delfino Plaza, acted as a central hub similar to Peach's castle in Super Mario 64, but with more personality and interactivity, making it feel like a true vacation destination. Levels like Bianco Hills, Gelato Beach, and Rico Harbor were interconnected parts of the island, each brimming with vibrant detail and platforming challenges. The game's aesthetic leaned heavily on its bright, sunny visuals, and its cheerful music perfectly matched its playful summer vibe. The sense of immersion was palpable sunlight, glared off waves, seagulls drifted overhead, and everything felt alive in a way few games at the time could match. Despite its sunny atmosphere, Super Mario Sunshine was also notoriously challenging. The game featured secret levels, where FLUDD was taken away, forcing players to rely on pure platforming skill across tricky obstacle courses. These levels served as a throwback to classic Mario gameplay, testing timing, precision, and patience. Completing them rewarded players with Shine Sprites, the game's equivalent of Super Mario 64's Power Stars, which were needed to restore power to the island's central lighthouse and clear Mario's name. Shadow Mario's mysterious presence added intrigue, eventually culminating in the reveal that he was actually Bowser Jr. in disguise, marking the first major appearance of Bowser's son. This twist not only introduced a new recurring character, but also expanded Bowser's family dynamic, giving Mario a fresh rival and deepening his universe's lore. While Sunshine was praised for its creativity, it was also divisive among fans. Some criticized its higher difficulty and occasional camera frustrations, while others adored its bold new mechanics and atmosphere. Regardless of opinion, the game's impact was undeniable. It showed Nintendo's willingness to experiment with Mario, blending his classic elements with unique tools and settings that pushed the franchise forward. In the years that followed, Super Mario Sunshine developed a dedicated fan base, and its influence lingered. The introduction of water-based gameplay, tropical aesthetics, and characters like Bowser Jr. helped shape future Mario titles and even spin-offs. It demonstrated that Mario could thrive in settings far removed from the Mushroom Kingdom, paving the way for even more daring experiments in the years to come. Nintendo's next leap would be even bigger. With the arrival of the Wii and its motion controls, Mario was about to embark on one of his most ambitious and awe-inspiring adventures yet. A journey beyond Earth itself in Super Mario Galaxy. In 2007, Nintendo once again reinvented what a Mario game could be with the release of Super Mario Galaxy for the Wii. This title marked one of Mario's most ambitious adventures to date, sending him far beyond the Mushroom Kingdom and into the cosmic expanse of outer space. It blended Mario's classic platforming with gravity-defying physics, spherical planets, and a breathtaking orchestral score, creating an experience that felt both familiar and astonishingly new. The game opened with Mario attending the Star Festival, a rare celebration in the Mushroom Kingdom marked by a shower of shooting stars. But as is tradition in Mario's world, peace was short-lived. Bowser attacked, using airships to kidnap Princess Peach and uproot her entire castle, carrying it into the depths of space. Mario pursued, but was flung into orbit, only to be rescued by a mysterious figure named Rosalina, who introduced him to the Comet Observatory, a celestial hub where Mario's interstellar adventure would begin. Rosalina was an enigmatic new character who became central to Galaxy's narrative. Acting as a cosmic guardian, she guided Mario on his quest to collect power stars and restore energy to the Comet Observatory, allowing it to travel through the universe and confront Bowser. Her storybook-style backstory, accessible through quiet readings in her library, introduced a rare emotional depth to a Mario game, telling a touching tale of loneliness and belonging that resonated deeply with players. Gameplay in Super Mario Galaxy was unlike anything seen before. Rather than traversing flat worlds or wide-open landscapes, Mario leapt across tiny planetoids and spiraling structures, each with its own gravitational pull. Players could run entirely around small planets, jump between celestial bodies, and even walk upside down as gravity shifted dynamically. This unique mechanic allowed Nintendo to create wildly inventive levels that defied traditional logic, constantly surprising players with new twists on platforming. Controls were finely tuned to the Wii's hardware. The Wii Remote and Nunchuck allowed for precise movement, while motion controls let players spin Mario with a flick of the wrist move that served as both an attack and a way to extend jumps. Collecting star bits, which could be aimed and gathered by pointing the Wii Remote, added an extra layer of interactivity and tactile engagement. The variety in Galaxy's levels was astounding. One moment, Mario might be bounding across grassy planets in Good Egg Galaxy, and the next, he'd be racing on icy tracks in Freeze Flame Galaxy or dodging lava flows in Melty Molten Galaxy. Every galaxy had its own personality, each packed with creative mechanics that were introduced, explored, and concluded in brilliantly concise ways. The game also reimagined classic power ups. The bee suit let Mario cling to honeycombs and buzz across flowers. The boo mushroom transformed him into a ghost capable of passing through walls, and the spring mushroom introduced bouncy, vertical platforming challenges. These power ups, combined with the gravity mechanics, kept the experience fresh and unpredictable, encouraging experimentation and delighting players at every turn. Musically, Super Mario Galaxy broke new ground for the series with its sweeping orchestral soundtrack, composed by Mahito Yokota and Koji Kondo. Themes like the serene, gusty garden galaxy became instant classics, blending grandeur with whimsy to perfectly capture the sense of wonder that defined the game. This marked a significant shift from Mario's traditional upbeat synthesized tunes, elevating the atmosphere to cinematic heights. Critically, Super Mario Galaxy was lauded as a masterpiece. Its innovation, tight design, and imaginative presentation earned it near universal acclaim, and it won numerous Game of the Year awards. It demonstrated not only that Mario could thrive in 3D, but also that Nintendo remained at the forefront of game design, capable of surprising players decades into Mario's history. Beyond its technical and design achievements, Galaxy reinforced Mario's adaptability. Whether he was leaping across planetoids, surfing on manta rays, or launching himself between stars, the core feel of Mario responsive controls, playful charm, and approachable challenge remained intact. This ability to evolve while staying true to his roots was what made Mario timeless. The game concluded with an epic battle against Bowser among collapsing galaxies, culminating in Mario restoring order to the universe and returning Peach safely home. Rosalina's story added a poignant note to the ending, cementing her as a beloved figure in Mario lore and expanding the universe's scope beyond the Mushroom Kingdom. But Nintendo wasn't finished exploring space. In 2010, they followed up with Super Mario Galaxy 2, a direct sequel that built upon everything that made the original great while introducing even more creativity. When Super Mario Galaxy 2 released in 2010 for the Wii, it faced the challenge of following one of the most acclaimed games ever made. Rather than radically reinventing the formula, Nintendo chose to focus on refinement and expansion, delivering a game that pushed Galaxy's concepts even further. The result was a title many consider the pinnacle of 3D platforming. The sequel stripped away much of the narrative focus, opting for a leaner, more gameplay-driven experience. Mario once again traveled through the cosmos to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser, but this time the hub world was simplified into Starship Mario, a small, ship-shaped planetoid shaped like Mario's head. This shift allowed players to jump into levels more quickly, streamlining progression and emphasizing pure platforming fun. Galaxy 2 introduced Yoshi into the mix, thrilling fans who had long wished to see him in a 3D Mario game. Yoshi could be ridden across planets, and his abilities like extending his tongue to grab objects or flutter jumping to cross wide gaps opened up new gameplay possibilities. Power-ups unique to Yoshi, such as the Dash Pepper for blazing speed and the Blimp Fruit for floating into the air, added even more variety to level design. The game also introduced new suits for Mario himself, including the Cloud Flower, which allowed him to create temporary cloud platforms, and the Rock Mushroom, transforming him into a rolling boulder that smashed through obstacles. These power-ups encouraged inventive platforming and puzzle solving, showcasing Nintendo's talent for teaching new mechanics in playful, intuitive ways. Level design in Galaxy 2 was even more tightly crafted than its predecessor. Each stage was a self-contained burst of creativity, often built around a single clever idea. For example, Throwback Galaxy recreated Super Mario 64's Whomp's Fortress in stunning detail, blending nostalgia with modern mechanics. Meanwhile, stages like Upside Dizzy Galaxy played with gravity in dizzying ways, while Puzzle Plank Galaxy combined rhythm and platforming in delightfully unexpected fashion. Collectibles returned in abundance. In addition to Power Stars, players hunted for green stars hidden in challenging locations, extending replay value and testing mastery of the game's mechanics. These extra challenges catered to those craving precision platforming, rewarding skill and exploration in equal measure. The game's orchestral soundtrack continued the high standard set by its predecessor, featuring soaring compositions like the majestic Sky Station Galaxy theme and the playful tunes of Yoshi's Star Galaxy. Music once again underscored the cosmic grandeur of Mario's journey, enhancing both the scale and emotional impact of his adventure. Critically, Super Mario Galaxy 2 received universal acclaim, with many considering it not only a worthy follow up, but even superior to the original. It refined mechanics, tightened pacing, and delivered near constant novelty across its dozens of galaxies. For players, it was proof that Mario could continue to surprise and delight, even decades into his career. Together, Galaxy and Galaxy 2 represented a high point for 3D platforming, pushing the genre to dazzling heights. Yet, as Mario explored the stars, Nintendo recognized a desire among players for a return to his roots, a rekindling of the classic 2D platforming style that had first made him famous. This led to the birth of a new era. New Super Mario Bros., a series that blended modern visuals with the nostalgic feel of Mario's earliest adventures. In 2006, before Mario soared into space, Nintendo had already begun rekindling his 2D roots with New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS. This game marked Mario's triumphant return to side-scrolling platforming after over a decade, combining classic gameplay with fresh visuals and mechanics. It was designed to appeal to longtime fans craving nostalgia, while welcoming newcomers introduced during the DS era. The premise was familiar. Bowser Jr. kidnapped Princess Peach, and Mario set off to rescue her across 8 worlds filled with themed levels, castles, and airships. The gameplay stayed true to Mario's ascensor running, jumping, and power-ups, but with modern polish. Smooth animations, vibrant 2.5D graphics, and updated physics made Mario feel fresh yet comfortably familiar. New power-ups added variety, including the Mega Mushroom, which transformed Mario into a towering giant who could crush everything in his path, and the Mini Mushroom, shrinking him down to explore tiny pipes and secret areas. These power-ups played cleverly with scale, adding humor and depth to level design. The game's design blended new ideas with callbacks to the NES and SNES classics, making it feel like both a reboot and a continuation of Mario's legacy. It sold extraordinarily well, becoming one of the DS's best-selling titles and proving that 2D Mario still had a place alongside his 3D adventures. Its success spawned an entire sub-series. New Super Mario Bros. Wii in 2009 introduced 4-player co-op, allowing friends and families to share the chaos of platforming together. New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS emphasized coin collection, while New Super Mario Bros. U for the Wii U brought HD visuals and creative level design, eventually re-released on the Switch as New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. These games balanced nostalgia and accessibility, making Mario's classic side-scrolling gameplay relevant for modern audiences. They reintroduced Goombas, Koopas, and flagpoles to new generations while retaining the timeless rhythm of run, jump, and conquer. This parallel path on foot in 2D tradition, the other in 3D innovation ensured Mario could cater to every type of player. But Nintendo wasn't content to stop there. In 2013, Mario would make another evolutionary leap with Super Mario 3D World. blending the design principles of 2D and 3D Mario into one of the series' most joyous, cooperative experiences yet. In 2013, Nintendo released Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U, a title that merged the linear, structured design of 2D Mario with the open movement and exploration of 3D platformers. Building upon the foundation of Super Mario 3D Land for the Nintendo 3DS, this game offered a cooperative multiplayer experience within expansive, colorful environments that blended the best elements of Mario's past and present. Super Mario 3D World retained the flagpole goal structure of traditional 2D Mario games, but used fully three-dimensional environments, allowing players to move freely in all directions. The result was a hybrid experience. Tight, focused levels reminiscent of Super Mario Bros. 3, combined with the fluid movement and visual depth of Super Mario 64 and Galaxy. One of the standout features was its multiplayer gameplay. For the first time in a 3D Mario adventure, up to 4 players could join simultaneously, controlling Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Toadioc with unique abilities. Luigi jumped higher but slid more. Peach could float briefly in midair, and Toad ran faster but lacked height in his jumps. This dynamic encouraged teamwork while also inviting lighthearted chaos as players jostled for power-ups and raced to reach the flagpole first. The game introduced the Super Bell power-up, transforming characters into cats who could climb walls, swipe at enemies, and pounce with playful agility. This feline theme extended to the level design, with vertical challenges and hidden secrets placed in spots accessible only to skilled climbers. The catsuit quickly became one of Mario's most beloved power-ups, blending functionality with sheer charm. Levels in Super Mario 3D World were bursting with creativity. From sprawling savannas to snowy landscapes, candy-coated stages, and even surreal circus-themed courses, each world introduced fresh mechanics and delightful surprises. The game was also filled with inventive bonus content, such as Captain Toad's treasure hunting mini-levels, which stripped away jumping entirely and focused purely on puzzle solving and spatial awareness. These segments later spun off into their own series, showcasing just how much innovation Nintendo packed into this title. Musically, the game delivered some of the series' catchiest tunes, including the upbeat Super Bell Hill theme, which perfectly captured the spirit of adventure and whimsy. Its jazzy soundtrack brought a playful energy that complemented the game's lighthearted tone, distinguishing it from the orchestral grandeur of Galaxy. Critically and commercially, Super Mario 3D World was celebrated for its inventive design, cooperative fun, and polished presentation. However, its release on the struggling Wii U meant it didn't reach as many players as it deserved. This changed in 2021 when Nintendo re-released it for the Nintendo Switch alongside Bowser's Fury, an experimental new mode that featured an open-world design. Bowser's Fury represented a fascinating step forward for Mario. Set in a seamless, interconnected area known as Lake Lapcat, it allowed Mario to explore freely while collecting cat shines to confront a colossal, enraged version of Bowser. The dynamic shifts between exploration and intense boss battles gave a glimpse of how Mario could blend open-world concepts with classic platforming, setting the stage for future innovation. Yet even before Bowser's Fury, Nintendo had already delivered a revolutionary Mario title that pushed his 3D adventures to unprecedented heights: Super Mario Odyssey. Released in 2017 for the Nintendo Switch, Super Mario Odyssey marked Mario's triumphant return to sandbox-style exploration. Drawing inspiration from Super Mario 64 and Sunshine while blending in entirely new ideas. Odyssey felt like both a bold evolution and a heartfelt celebration of everything Mario had ever been. In Odyssey, Bowser once again kidnapped Princess Peach, this time planning a forced wedding. Mario, after being defeated early on, teamed up with Cappy, a sentient hat from the Cap Kingdom who could possess objects and enemies. This unique mechanic called capture transformed gameplay, letting Mario inhabit the forms of creatures like Goombas, Chain Chomps, and even massive dinosaurs. Each capture offered distinct abilities and interactions, turning every level into a playground of experimentation. The game's world design embraced freedom and variety. Mario traveled across a globe-spanning journey through distinct kingdoms, each with its own culture, aesthetic, and gameplay twists. From the bustling, realistic streets of New Donk City in the Metro Kingdom to the tranquil beaches of the Seaside Kingdom and the candy-colored Luncheon Kingdom, every locale felt alive and memorable. Collecting power moons, Odyssey's equivalent of stars or shines, drove progression. Unlike past Mario games, there were hundreds of moons scattered throughout each kingdom, many hidden in clever ways that rewarded curiosity. This design encouraged organic exploration rather than linear progression, letting players approach goals in any order they wished. Cappy also added fluidity to Mario's movement. Throwing him created platforms, extended jumps, or attacked enemies, while combining captures and acrobatics allowed skilled players to chain together spectacular sequences. Mario's moveset, already expansive, felt more dynamic than ever, encouraging both beginners and advanced players to experiment and push boundaries. One of Odyssey's most iconic moments came in New Donk City's festival, a musical tribute to Mario's history. As players leapt through a side-scrolling, pixelated homage to his original Donkey Kong debut, Paulinino, mayor of the city, performed "Jump Up Superstar." The jazzy vocal theme celebrated Mario's journey across decades, blending nostalgia with joyful spectacle. It was a love letter to his legacy and a powerful reminder of how far he had come since his 8-bit origins. Odyssey's finale was equally memorable. In the climactic showdown on the moon, Mario captured Bowser himself, using his rival's body to escape a collapsing cavern. This sequence symbolized Odyssey's willingness to surprise and delight players with bold, unexpected ideas, all while staying true to Mario's adventurous spirit. Critics hailed Odyssey as a masterpiece, praising its boundless creativity, fluid gameplay, and sense of wonder. It sold over 25 million copies, becoming one of the best-selling Mario games ever and reaffirming Mario's status as gaming's enduring icon. With Odyssey, Mario had once again proven his timelessness. From pixelated origins to grand open worlds, he remained a character who could adapt to new ideas without losing his core identity. A joyful to approachable hero whose adventures continue to spark imagination across generations. Today, Mario's legacy stretches across nearly every facet of gaming culture. Beyond his mainline platformers, he stars in a vast array of spin-offs. Mario Kart remains one of the most popular racing franchises ever. Super Smash Bros. Continues to unite gaming icons under one banner, and titles like Mario Party, Mario Golf, and Mario Tennis showcase his ability to thrive in almost any genre. Mario's enduring popularity also extends beyond video games. He appears in toys, clothing, comics, and even theme parks. In 2023, the Super Mario Bros. Movie brought him to the big screen in a stunning animated adventure, grossing over $1 billion worldwide and introducing him to new audiences globally. His influence is so pervasive that he's no longer just a video game character, he's a cultural phenomenon. Nintendo continues to celebrate Mario with titles like Super Mario Maker, which empowers players to design and share their own Mario levels, and theme park experiences like Super Nintendo World, which bring his universe to life with interactive rides and attractions. These expansions reinforce how Mario is more than just a protagonist, the beating heart of Nintendo and a bridge between generations of gamers. Every era of gaming has its defining figure, and Mario has uniquely spanned them all. From 8-bit arcades to high-definition consoles, from handheld devices to virtual reality experiments, Mario has remained at the forefront, adapting while maintaining his core essence: fun, approachable, and endlessly creative. As we reflect on Mario's story, it's remarkable to see how a simple, pixelated character named Jumpman evolved into one of the most recognizable figures in entertainment history. What began in 1981 with Donkey Kong became a decades-long journey across countless worlds, from sewer pipes to galaxies, tropical islands to sprawling cityscapes. Through every leap and every era, Mario has remained a constant companion to players, inviting them to run, jump, and explore. His journey mirrors gaming itself, growing more complex and expansive while never losing sight of what makes it joyful. Mario's cheerful optimism, simple heroism, and playful spirit endure because they speak to something universal. Whether you first met him in the arcades, on a dusty NES cartridge, or through a modern Switch title, Mario's world is one of wonder and warmth, a place where adventure feels endless, and every level holds a spark of magic. As Nintendo looks ahead, Mario's future feels as bright as ever. New games, new technologies, and new generations of players will continue to shape his story. But no matter how much changes, the heart of Mario will stay the same: a red-capped hero leaping fearlessly forward, inviting us all to join in the fun. And now, as you think of Mario's long journey from the hum of old arcade cabinets to the sweeping melodies of space, from humble blocks and pixels to sprawling kingdoms of imagination, let that comforting sense of familiarity and timelessness guide you to rest. Just as Mario has always been there, bounding cheerfully across screens for over 40 years, so too does his story remain a steady, comforting thread woven through the tapestry of gaming history. Close your eyes. Picture those bright green hills, those cheerful sound effects, and that red-clad figure leaping ever onward. And as Mario continues his endless run into the horizon of gaming's future, let yourself drift peacefully into dreams, carried gently on the nostalgia and joy that his story brings.